Welcome back to Golden Ridge. Today we're locking in the core of the inner city, getting a little experimental with our existing tram lines and new highway off-ramps, and layering in tons of detail to bring it all together. So, let's get to work. All right, so last time we got into a little bit of detailing and filling in some gaps and some holes and some areas that just needed to have some stuff in them. And so today, so get a little more sun in here, I want to continue with our city's expansion. So in between then and now, I filled in this block, this couple of blocks area, with just some mixed housing, some apartments, some row houses, some commercial, and a little bit of industrial here stuff underneath the highway. I also filled out some of this stuff along the train track. Got this little cul-de-sac area in that I'm really liking, and laid some road over here for some straight up industrial area on the other side of the train tracks, in between the train tracks and the river, and just lay down a little bit of roads kind of in here that we can fill out today. And also got this little filled in this kind of awkward area here with a little parking lot that I think fits really nice. So let's get started. So today, so first thing, I think let's I want to fill this in a little bit more, but I was kind of looking at this area and unsure of, do I just fill this with trees and bushes and dirt and, you know, just kind of make it a natural area? And what I was actually thinking would be fun would be to make it a bit of a riverside kind of, I don't know, like a place where people can kind of go to the river. So what I want to do is, let's take a small little road here, get curves on, we'll get our constant slope on, and coming kind of off of this road, I wanted to bring this in here and then just kind of wrap it down like about that. And let's see if that looks crazy. That's a little steep there, so we can just kind of, let's pull this down so we can get our slope started a little earlier. And then I think that will, it's getting a little steep. Let's see if we can't stretch this out a little tiny bit more. But overall, that's about what I had in mind. So I didn't really want to take it that close to the water. All right, let's try this again. I always do this, but I think it really does just work better if you use the slope tool first and you establish your kind of how you want to do it, and you just kind of do it like that, and you'll just end up with a better slope. So we'll start about, let's see, we want to be down here, obviously, so kind of coming around like that, I think is what we want. So we'll start here. Whoa, mouse is jumping around a little bit. Let's try that again. Just at a weird angle, maybe. There we go. And we'll bring this around and we'll come down like that. So I think that's going to give us a bit of, I like that it's kind of like a windy little, you know, road going on here, but I want it to be fairly smooth so we can get kind of that in, and that's going to be, that looks, see how much better that is. Like, that's just a much more realistic slope. So I also gave myself just a lot more room, a lot more space to go back and forth. We'll get rid of, I don't need stoplights or crosswalks there. And then let's fill some of this back up, because I didn't actually want to bring it down quite so much. We can kind of bring this over here a bit. And then now that we're down here, I want to flatten. This is already pretty flat, but let's just give ourselves a little more space. And then I think we'll just go with kind of a parking situation here with this very much used to custom alley. We use this all the time, and it's just super helpful. So we'll just get this kind of running about like that. I think will work. And yeah, that kind of is down there. And then I wanted to kind of make this, now that I'm actually rethinking, because I kind of wanted to make this like an unofficial. I don't want this to be like a city sanctioned beach kind of thing. I kind of almost wanted it to be like where, you know, high school kids go kind of when they don't have anywhere else to go, and you know, it's not really where you're supposed to go, but it's where people kind of do. So maybe I wonder if the parking lot actually is not the best thing. Let's just smooth this out a little bit more. Let's turn our strength down, and we'll stick with the parking lot, I think, but maybe we just make it a little smaller. That seems like, you know, maybe this was an old industrial area that's where we have the parking down here, but now it's, you know, maybe we can put an old something down here. So I wanted to go with some decals, kind of these old kind of broken cement decals where this used to be, you know, some river industry, something maybe. And we'll just kind of lay these down along here. And then let's see if there's kind of some other ones we can mix in. There's the big one that is always hard to find in with these. So this one also kind of works really well, and we can kind of throw this one down here a bit, and I think that'll sit underneath. Yeah, so we can kind of just use this as a bit of a border area. So yeah, I think that's roughly what I had in mind. I wanted, like I said, I wanted this to be kind of an old leftover industrial thing. So let's actually go in and we can put an old, I don't know that there's really anything. I'm trying to think of what'll look old enough. Maybe is there an old looking kind of northeastern office, something like this, actually? And actually we're gonna use the static ones so that we don't have to worry about getting roads to any of it. So we should be able to find the same one. Was that on? Oh, commercial, not office. Okay. So commercial low, northeast. Here we go. Yeah. Get something like this kind of down here so that there's a sense of this used to be something. So we'll grab that. I'm just going to lower this down a bit and kind of push it into the wall here, and we'll flatten this out a little more. And actually, maybe we should move it away from the wall and kind of put it closer to the river. This might be a good opportunity. I don't know if I'm still trying to figure out quite how these new boardwalks and quays work, and I wonder if this is a place where we could kind of get... Oh, that is actually going to work, I think. Just thought it might be cool to... That looks a little weird, but Okay, let's try that again because we got some jank going on. But I thought that might be a cool way to look like this was at some point some sort of river industry, even though I know this is a, you know, leisure boardwalk. I think maybe we can just kind of give it a river look there. So yeah, that'll work. We'll just need some detail down here, and I think this is going to work out pretty nicely. So I'm just going to go ahead real quick and just get this detailed up. All right, I think that is probably plenty. I might jump in here at some other time and fill in a few things, but yeah, I'm kind of loving this just old factory mill, something that was going on down here that is clearly abandoned now and just kind of left, and we just got some stuff, and I think from a high view that's really going to work out nicely. We can just fill in a little bit more of this with some trees. Go with kind of some bigger ones here and just get this filled in down here right on the water's edge and along the train track, and then that's all looking good. And then for this, I think we're actually going to get rid of, let's actually just use a smaller brush here so that we can kind of get rid of all these little stones and these little trees here. And there we go. And then we can get some, I guess probably some industrial stuff in here. Let's see, we'll get just a little road in there, and yeah, we'll fill this in a bit more. And then I think I just wanted to throw in a couple. So we got a bunch of industrial. I think we get some commercial, just kind of anything that looks a little kind of industrial commercial, if that makes any sense at all. You know, a machine shop or a supply store. None of those all look like. Yeah, I mean, looking for, I guess, something like that. Kind of have a little row of, you know, this can be tool places, or you know, like a paint store, or just anywhere that you might get you know, stuff to do your work on. I guess that'll probably do. We can fill this out with lots and stuff. But one thing I did want to do before we fill in more of this was we these roads kind of expand here so that we can get on and off ramps going. But I was looking at them, and I think what I want to do is actually add some on and off ramps from the ground. So I think what we're going to do on this side is we're going to start here, and let's turn our slope down a little bit here and bring this up to what will be just we're gonna need the curved road. So yeah, we'll start in there, and then I wanted to kind of bring this around like this and kind of create this back kind of out of the way off ramp in this little corridor here. So let's turn off snapping so we can get this kind of right where we want it, like that. And then we'll turn snapping back on. Or no, we won't. We're going to keep snapping off because this thing is just grabbing onto everything. And we're going to bring this down to about there. And then we'll bring this around and get down to ground level, say about here. Is that ground? Yeah, like that. And then we'll turn snapping on, and we'll just bring this out to, let's get a nice 180 or like that. And it's like that's still got a bridge in, but that's kind of okay. And but yeah, I wanted to, and then we're going to flip this around so that it is actually an on ramp. There we go. And okay, so we're just gonna need to change this to force a bridge. That did not do it. There we go. And there we go. There we go. Okay. So yeah, that I think is gonna work out pretty good. Running right along. I was trying to think, how do we fill this train area, and I think that'll do pretty well. And then actually, let's move this guy over to fill out this. I don't mind that it's going over here. I think that's fine, but I don't know. That becomes kind of an awkward space. And then the other direction, so the off ramp here. So we'll come off here and cross over the train. Now I was thinking about, let's think about this. Do we want to either wrap this around here, or we could cross it over and make it similar to the other one? Let's just bring it around in here and see if that makes an okay slope. So what's that at? Oh, it's only 2%. I mean, we're not all the way on the ground, but let's see. So we can bring that in here, and then from there, let's go down to the ground level. 6%'s a little more. But now where do we actually... That seems like a weird space for that off-ramp to... Yeah, I feel like it should be coming into that road, if anything. That creates kind of a weird intersection. So I think actually let's undo... Yeah, let's just undo all that. And I think maybe let's try going the other way and see if we bring it out to here. We'll keep it up enough so that the train can go underneath it. And then let's get a complex curve going. We'll go down to 0. And I think that probably... I don't love how that looks, that waviness. I've said it before, and I will say it again. It always takes 3 or 4 times on these to get them kind of exactly how you actually want. So let's see if we can't get this going there, and then keep that nice and straight. And let's see if we have enough clearance. I think we do. We'll just have to move this node just a little bit. Let's see if that doesn't mess it up too much. Like that. And yeah, I think that works. Although now you are kind of getting off the highway, not too far from this. So I actually do like it wrapping around here more. I just don't know exactly where that makes the most sense to actually offload it, because I feel like it should come in here. This just feels like way too tight of a turn. So we'll bring it up and like that. I guess that's okay, actually. And I like where that ends more. I think that makes a little more sense. We can bring these up a bit just to smooth the ramp out, because that's looking a little steep there. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, so last time I mentioned this area being pretty congested. It is currently not, but we were getting an insane amount of industrial traffic to our cargo terminal. Now, I don't know if that had something to do with just the game catching up after the update, and now it's kind of fine. I know it's 10 p.m., so that might have something to do with it, but I do just want to kind of mess with this road here and where our trams are. And then a few people mentioned this tram turnaround. You can see this one coming down. So the tram does this kind of large block wraparound and goes back, and we only have trams going here one way. And not the worst thing ever, but I think it's a fair criticism that, you know, that the turnaround should be a lot smaller. So I want to do that, and I was going to try and do something kind of weird with it. So I want to keep, this is the stop that I detailed. It was in the thumbnail a couple episodes ago, and I just really love this block. So I don't want to mess with that. But what I do want to do is have the tram wrap around like this and come back going this way. Now, the problem is that these are alleyways, and you cannot put tram tracks on alleyway roads unless you use Road Builder and make a custom road, which I did. So as you can see, the tram track will go on there. So we'll just delete all of this, and then one-way tram alley, we're going to place it. And just let's turn snapping off and get it in just like that. So now it essentially looks the same. However, the benefit here is that if we take a one-way tram tool, it will actually let us put that on there. So we're going to put that on there and have this wrap around, and then bring this all the way down back to here. And then we're going to get rid of our tram track on this side. We'll add it there. We'll add it there. And now we have a bit of a broken path. So let's get this attached to there. And I'm not sure actually why that's broken. So we have a tram doing exactly what we want right now. And I just think it'd be cool to see a tram kind of going down this little alleyway. And there it is. So yeah, that I think will work for there. Although I am not sure exactly what is going on Oh, we just have to get rid of this stop, I think, is the problem. There we go. Boom, nailed it. And then we'll get rid of the tram track on that road. And okay, so now we have a better turnaround situation going on. So we've got kind of our terminal stop here. And then I think we had another stop right here. So we'll just add... we'll add that back in. Let's get our North American tram stop. We'll put that in there and attach that to there. All right. Now for this stretch, I want to get dedicated tram lines in. So we're going to go with a large 6-lane divided road, which is going to be significantly wider than what we have here. As you can see, I think we'll go to at least here. Let's get this a little more lined up like that. And then we're just going to have to go around and push some of these businesses back just a little bit as far as we have to. Obviously without encroaching on our train here. Let's turn our filters off. We shouldn't be grabbing decals. There we go. Building. Get that back. That one's going to be a little tighter with... Move that over, and then it can go around that. This building can move back onto this corner, and we had room to push these back as well. Now this, we don't have room to push back, so we're going to go back to the regular road here. Although let's just see how much wider it really is. It is quite a bit wider, and I don't really want to redo every block here. I just kind of wanted to widen this, and then we get this kind of middle tram stop, which is kind of fun. So that actually turned out to be a bit easier than I thought it would be. Yeah. Oh, and then it looks like that is not working very well. So let's see. These I think are just the little, yeah, we can just get rid of a couple of these. Although this one is like the road one, so we're gonna have to delete, I think, this whole thing. Yep. And put that back. And we'll just slide this over a little bit. So these are all that same kind of thing. So we're going to get rid of all of these. And then let's actually move this over because there is kind of a drive there. It looks like that connects all the way through. So we'll get that there. And then we'll put these parking lots back. There's one there. There and one here. And move our surface over a bit. Oh, got another one here. And we'll have to push this back and that one. And this one is going to be a little tighter, so we'll get rid of this fence here. That's kind of right on the road, so I think that's actually okay. And then we'll adjust our surfaces here to get back off the sidewalk, and that'll be that's pretty good. So now I think in this industrial area, having a dedicated tram makes a lot more sense. And once we get back into kind of slightly more regular city, I think having it this way is fine. So yeah, I think really I wanted to sneak in this little alley tram line. I thought was kind of fun. So great, we've wrapped that up. All right, and then jumping back to where we were just a few minutes ago, I want to jump in and get this stuff detailed up here and fill in some of this stuff real quick. So I'm going to go jump in and we will do that real quick. All right, so I think that's pretty good. We got that whole area filled in and detailed. I think this is a kind of a fun little mixed use area. And mostly we just got this train track nice and embedded to where it feels like it's really cutting through the city. I think when you first lay the train tracks, they feel like They're just kind of, especially like, you know, they're just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But once you kind of wrap them, for lack of a better term, in stuff, they really feel like they're just slicing, you know, through the city, which feels really cool. So we don't have any trains on here yet, but one thing I did want to do, that I mentioned last time, was I'm going to connect this to an outside connection just so that we can get some traffic. It's going to be temporary and real weird because I'm gonna run it just kind of however. So let's get our elevation. So the three-way, let's get those a little closer, and we'll get these elevated and curved. So, I mean, like I said, we're just gonna, this is not at all gonna be permanent. But I just wanted to get, some, how far do we have to go? Quite a ways. All right. Get the outside connection going so that we can just get some traffic on these highways. So let's see. Actually, let's take it, not that it matters at all, but it's just going to be easier if we take this outside connection to where there aren't so many aggressive mountains. The tunnels are their whole own thing in this game, as I'm sure you all know by now. And this way we can just go like that. So that is looking real weird, but it looks like that is an outside connection. So well, boy, that is a elevated highway. But that should at least get us some traffic going along here. Ever since we put this intersection in, or this off-ramp, there's been almost no traffic here because people were using these exits and this to get into town, and now that this one lets them off right in the middle, they weren't. So this should get us some traffic coming in, so we'll give that a second to let some traffic populate. Also, if you've noticed, there are no more death icons, and that is because I used the or actually, let's see, what's it called? It is called the magical hearse, which basically just means that there are no more dead citizens and we don't need hearses anymore. So got rid of that. Now we just have a ton of these trash icons, which I still don't totally understand, because we have plenty of garbage processing. So we will do a landfill sooner than later and see if that helps. Otherwise, I might look into some other mods. But this all here is going to be a big time industrial area where we'll have a big landfill and some big plants and stuff. So hopefully that might solve that. But at least the death wave issue is gone. So let's see if we get any traffic here. All right, so as you can see, we do have traffic from our new external connection, which again is all going to be temporary, but it's nice to have some traffic coming in on the highway here. And yeah, if you can see, also we have reached 100,000 residents, so that's a big milestone for us. I also went through and filled in this little area kind of around this stuff that we built out, these on and off ramps here. So this little project area here, and just kind of some, maybe some government housing, but just some more. We had since opening the outside connection, we've gotten this massive demand for high density residential, which is interesting. That hasn't been showing up at all since really we built all the downtown stuff. And as soon as we opened up this new connection, we massively shot up in population and got this huge new demand. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, I just want to the last thing we do today is just kind of fill out this area. One thing I was thinking we could do, I thought it'd be good to have an off ramp here. So I was gonna try and see if we can we're going to take a 2-lane highway here and convert this. Two highway, one-way highway. So I wanted to get an off-ramp going right about here, and I was going to see if we could get an on-ramp going. That's not quite going to, maybe like that. So this is going to be a little weird, but let's see if this is going to work. So I was going to switch this to be 2 lanes, maybe right like that. And then I wanted to see if we could kind of grab this and pull it in like that. I think that actually worked a lot better than I kind of thought it would. We'll line this up a little better, but yeah, that I think is actually going to work really well. And then, so we'll kind of do a similar thing here. We'll convert this. We'll just convert this whole thing to 2 lanes in like that, and maybe up until there. We'll see if that'll be enough. That might not be. Oh, that got super janky real fast. So we're just gonna need to. Oh boy, there we go. Let's get rid of that. So I'm gonna take a small little thing. We're just gonna add a node like here, and then convert this to 2. Get rid of this, and let's try that again. Because I think that'll give us a little more space. So that does, but that looks super janky. This one may not work quite as well. Let's try grabbing this pillar, this road, and see if we can't break this off a little sooner. So we'll stick this and we'll make this back to single. We'll get rid of that. And if we do it from here, we might be able to get our elevation up a little sooner here. Obviously can't put a pillar on the, so now I think we actually need to bring this way back, which is probably good because that was going to be a bit of a weird, a tough merge. All right, so for right here, we can bring this one straight off and up. And we're gonna turn snapping off and see if we can't just make this work there and then go straight in. Is that just gonna be weird and steep? Well, first of all, I'm not sure if a train can fit into that, and also that's way too steep. So that's okay. We've got plenty of space to bring this up earlier. We can just use this long ramp, which probably makes a little more sense anyway, because just this long flat ramp was a little weird. So we can just bring this all up to this height. That's still pretty steep, but let's try bringing this down a little bit. And it's a little better. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up even more, though, I think. Just bring these up a bit and bring that up. And I think that, again, this just makes a little more sense. And then we can bring this up. And we kind of grab these two. And this one's a little weirder. The other one, this one worked surprisingly well. This whole thing is now looking interesting. Let's see if how the trains are passing underneath. That's more than enough space there, and plenty on the other side too. So, okay, I think this will work. Let's just see if we can smooth this out a little bit. All right, that's a little janky, but I think in the big scheme of things, it won't be super noticeable, and I think this is kind of cool. So that's a bit of a unique looking highway system here, but it is really effective on this end. So that'll work, and then let's go ahead and adjust this a little bit. I think we're gonna need to change this into an asymmetrical road. That's going to be a little weird because it's the only way to get in there. Or there is another road. Actually, maybe we just make this whole thing a one way. Not a bridge though. And then you can get out that way, and if you need to get in there, you just come this way. I think that's a little safer than trying to have people left turning across kind of a highway exit here. And then we're just going to go ahead and we don't need anybody crossing anywhere around there. And let's just get rid of that. And yeah, that I think will work. Great. Okay, so now I just wanted to fill out this little space here. What I like is that this is a little bit raised. And I actually, now that I kind of did that, my plan was initially to have a little bit of road coming in here. So actually we are going to switch this back real quick to an asymmetrical road. I think that will still make sense for our off-ramp, but I think you need to be able to come in here to get to whatever we put over there. So let's check this again. Get rid of the unsafe, and maybe we'll not let you go across there. You can only kind of feed in here. And I think we're going to get rid of this left turn as well, and we'll get rid of that. So really nothing's crossing. Yeah. Boom, boom. Yeah, that'll work. I think that makes sense. And then we'll just get an alleyway in here. What I was actually thinking is using some key roads to get a little barrier up. And I like that there's just this little bit of elevation difference here with the train. So this train will be running, you know, a little bit lower here. And I just think that kind of, like I've said before, anytime you can mix up the elevation even in you know, small ways, I think it's a great look. So let's see if we can wrap this around without it grabbing onto our train. Should be able to. And kind of bringing this back here a little bit. And then for this, let's see. So we've got a lot of commercial in here and some residential here. So I think we should stick with some, kind of go commercial industrial in this little bit. So let's see how much space we have. About 4 or 5 deep. Let's go with 4. We'll start with commercial, or sorry, with industrial. And we'll go down to the clean industry, which is just a great little mod here. The clean industries really just helps so that none of these will have chimneys, which we don't want kind of in the middle of town here. So yeah, we'll throw that guy on there, and then we'll get a little smaller. And I think we can even, yeah, something like that. And then we'll throw something, we can go a little bigger back here. Something to fill up this space. Oh, and that one does have a chimney. I must have, yeah, I did not grab from the clean industries pack. There we go. So let's throw this one in. That's a little too agricultural. I think we're really going to want something that feels a little more urban. There we go. Perfect. Just something down there, and then we can fill this stuff in with some parking lots and some storage stuff. So one thing I did like though is that this is also up on a little bit of an elevation, and I kind of like this being a little divider, kind of a little separate area up here. So I want to throw in some grass texture here, or surface. I like this one. Kind of feels a little less manicured. And we'll just throw this on. So this one also will kind of take over, and it'll end up showing up on the freeway above. So we have to just cut it off there. And let's get this off of that. Yeah, great. Little airplane flying above, and then we can just get some bushes on here to kind of separate. Actually, first let's get. We'll do. Is there like a short, kind of one of these short fences in here? Something kind of like that. Yeah, just to divide this up a little bit. And then we'll go with some bushes. And sink these down by 2, and then we should just be able to throw some of these in and give ourselves a nice little divider here between this kind of separate raised little shopping area here. We'll throw in a couple of bigger trees. There we go. Great. All right, I'll go through and detail this up, and then we'll get finished here. All right, so I think that will do it for today. There's still a little more here in this section and kind of going off around here before we move on. And we'll have to get stuff up on this hill and all that. But this, I think, is a good place to leave it for today. So thanks everybody for watching as always. And if you made it this far in the video and have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and do that. We will have lots more coming up. So thanks again so much everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.